Hi everyone, I'm Gina K from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV. Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you another fun way to use the CureTake Zig Clean Color Markers and the Made with Love Stamp TV kit. Let me show you the tools and products you need to make this card project. First, you're going to need some ink, and the ink that I'm using is the Gina K Designs Black Onyx Ink. I also have a sponge dauber for that. And then I'm also going to be using some of the Versamark ink. Along with the Versamark, I'm going to be using some of the Fine Detail Clear Powder and also the Embossing Magic Pad. And that's to remove any static to the front of the card, off of the front of the card, or any oils that might get onto the paper, so that your embossing powder and your Versamark, everything works together to only emboss the areas that you want. Okay, so for Zig markers, the colors that I'm using are light green, turquoise green, olive green, geranium red, fluorescent pink, and pink. Then I'm using two of the stamps from the Made with Love stamp set from the Made with Love Stamp TV kit. I'm using this tropical flower and then this leaf sprig. It kind of looks like a fern, kind of a modern fern. For cardstock, I'm using some of our white layering weight. I'm also going to use some of the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor cardstock, and this comes in a pack of 20 sheets, and they're a quarter sheet of 8.5 by 11, so that's the size that they are, so they'll fit on a whole card front, or you can cut them down like I did. I cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches so that I can use some layers around it to build some color and depth. And then the only other color cardstock I'm using is the Gina K Designs Apple Mint. Alright, so to begin, I'm going to start with the markers. So the first color that I'm going to use is the fluorescent pink, and I'm going to color fluorescent pink marker just in areas where I would like to add some flowers. You can see I'm not really coloring any fancy way, I'm just doing some scribbles. And I'm going to do about 3 flowers here on each corner. So, got that. Okay. Then I'm going to grab the pink and I'm going to add a little bit more color in there. And you'll quickly be able to tell that I am not an artist, so I'm just kind of doing it my way. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this geranium red just in the center. Okay. Then I'm going to pick up the light green, and I'm going to add some green in places that I want the leaves to be. Wherever that's going to be. Doesn't have to be fancy. Then on top of that, I'm going to add some of that turquoise green. Maybe I'll just add a little bit in here like this. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the olive green. Just kind of bouncing it around there. Okay. So now I have some water in one of these Tim Holtz Distress sprayers. You can use any kind of spray bottle, a mini mister, whatever you want. And I'm going to add water to all of that. And I'm going to give that a chance to just kind of move around a little bit. Okay. And then I have a piece of paper towel here, and I'm going to just wipe up the excess water that's sprayed around. I'm going to give that a minute to spread. And then I'm going to help it a little bit by dabbing on it with a paper towel. Just a little bit to take a little bit of that excess water off. Okay. Then I'm going to use my heat tool and I'm going to dry it. Now you'll notice that when you're drying it, the water is going to continue to move. You'll see some of that. You can even blot some of that up if you want. And you'll also notice that as it's starting to dry, it's starting to curl up a bit. Sometimes I like to do it from the other side a little bit too, just to kind of even it out. So that kind of flattens it a bit. Now you can also already have this taped down onto something, and that works too. That will help it from curling too much. But if you do the back and the front and you just kind of keep going back and forth, that kind of helps keep it a little bit flatter. But don't worry too much about that, because you're going to be able to flatten that out when you mount it onto another piece of cardstock. So you can see what that looks like. That looks kind of pretty just like it is. Such bright colors you get from these clean color markers. Of course, I have to pick the brightest ones all the time. You can kind of get an idea of what most of the YouTubers out there are using, the colors that they're using, and you can buy the markers singly if you don't want to spend for a whole set. But I really love these. These are so much fun. Okay, so now I'm going to take that embossing magic pad and I'm just going to rub that over the surface. And that's going to make sure that my Versamark and embossing powder only stick to where I want it. And I'm going to grab that Versamark and then I'm going to start with the flower. Now I'm going to emboss right over those spots of pink color that I've created. I want to make sure this is really inked up well, because I'm using watercolor paper, which has a lot of texture and a lot of rippling, and I do want my stamp to be as inky as possible. So we're going to put one here. And you're not going to be able to see this very well, even when you're doing it yourself, so you may want to do this in steps the way I like to do it. I like to do the pink parts first, emboss them, and then go back and do the green parts. Okay. Now I'll do the other side. You can see I'm stamping off the cardstock on this side, and that's fine. And some of these flowers will have some white edges, and that'll be kind of cool. That's the beauty of this. Every time you do it, it's going to look different. You can see my original sample. It already looks so different from that. Okay. Then I'm going to grab an extra piece of cardstock and that clear embossing powder, and I'm going to pour that over the areas that I stamped with the Versamark. When you're doing this part in real life, then it'll become very visible where you've stamped the flowers. Okay. Just blow away that excess. You can see them now coming through. Can you see those flowers? Aren't they pretty? Okay. Now I'm going to emboss those so they come up nice and shiny. Now they kind of disappear again. But you'll know that they're done because when you tilt it, you can see the shine, so you'll be able to see where you stamped. Okay, so now we're going to add some leaves. And again, I'm going to use the leaf stamp along with Versamark. And I'm going to add some of those leaves. And it's okay to stamp off the cardstock. right? And then I've got these down here. You can stamp these any way you want. This will come out from here. Okay. And again, with that piece of cardstock, I'm going to pour that embossing powder all over. And remember, if you want to add more, you can always go back and add more leaves, more flowers, whatever you feel like you need. Once you've embossed, you can kind of make that determination. All right, blow off the excess, and once again, we're gonna heat that up. You just kind of want to stamp in the vicinity of where you put that watercolor. So now, once again, you can see those areas are all embossed. Let me put away my embossing powder. And once again, I'm going to use that rag and just kind of clean up my area here, since that has some Versamark on it. Okay. Now my next step is to take this black Onyx ink and put some on a sponge. And now I'm going to, in a circular motion, I'm going to bring some black ink all over the surface of this card. And you can see the gorgeous that's happening here. And I don't want to make it solid black. I want it to be kind of gray and shady, and just so that it really makes the flowers and leaves pop. Let's see that happening. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a plain piece of paper towel that's not wet or anything, just a little piece, and I'm going to rub that all over the surface of the flowers and the leaves, and that will remove any black that's on top, and it'll really make that color pop out. And you can see what that looks like. Isn't that just stunning? So it's kind of a reverse watercolor, because you put the watercolor down first and then you put the images on top. Now let me clean this up, and then I'm going to show you my finished card project. There we go. Okay, so there's the one background that I did, and you can see how different the one I did in my finished card project looks. Here, they're both really cool though. Here I added a little bit of black gingham ribbon. This is 3/8 of an inch ribbon, and I made a triple loop bow and just stuck that on with a glue dot. And then I used one of the greetings from the Made with Love kit. These are one of the foilable images, and I just decided to use it in black and white to match the ribbon and match some of the white in the black background. So I cut that out using the purple oval dies that we sell. They're the stackers dies, not the layers, just the plain stackers, the purple ones, and they appear as rainbow color on our website. And then I mounted a scalloped oval behind that in apple mint. And then I mounted this whole panel on top of a piece of white cardstock, and you can see what that would look like with this one too. It really kind of brings everything out. So I did that, and then the whole panel just went on top of a piece of apple mint card base. So that is my finished card project. And of course you can add any greeting you want onto this to make it any kind of card you want, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, a thank you, just a friendship card like this one. It's a real bright, fun springtime card for cheering up someone and brightening up their day. I hope you've enjoyed today's Stamp TV Kit project. Stay tuned to Stamp TV for more projects featuring the new Made with Love Stamp TV Kit. And thanks so much for watching.